One of the more overlooked yet highly impactful traits of Halo's games is the use of map remakes and successors that allow the designs and layouts of successful maps to live on in future titles. And the trend of remaking or remixing maps from previous titles is a tradition almost as old as Halo itself. So with nearly 20 years of map design under our belt, it's a good time to recount how this trend impacted Halo's first 2 decades. I'm the Home Slice, Ascend Hyperion, and in today's video, we'll be analyzing the history of map remakes in Halo, defining how remakes and successors differ, and we'll explore the role Forge has come to play in fulfilling this essential Halo map design quirk. Like always, be sure to stick around for my viewer question at the end, make sure you're subscribed with all notifications turned on, and let's get this started. Today's video is sponsored by Vite Ramen. Thanks to longtime partner Vite Ramen, I've had plenty of opportunity to tell you guys about their awesome products that combine the ease of instant ramen with the nutritional benefits of an actually complete meal. Well, the team at Vite Ramen just took things one step further and are now giving you the ability to make healthy instant ramen anywhere. This is Vite Ramen Go, the healthy alternative to cup noodles, and it comes packed with a quarter if not a third of your daily recommended intake of key nutrients like vitamin A, zinc, iron, and so much more. The rest you need to taste for yourself. Use my link below and get an exclusive discount and my bundle, and try Vite Ramen for yourself today. When you buy Vite Ramen, you aren't just buying into healthy eating, you're supporting a grassroots company who operates on real sustainable wages. Use my link below and try Vite Ramen today. So, like mentioned a few seconds ago, an important distinction we need to make is between maps that are actual remakes and maps that are designed successors. A remake is a simple concept. It's either a one-to-one or a very close approximation to an existing design, like Halo 2's Zanzibar and Halo 3's Last Resort. Design successors are a little different and sometimes a little harder to spot. A successor takes key elements of designs from one map and utilizes them for a different map. The problem with identifying successors is establishing when the new map has deviated too much from the original to actually be called a successor at all. Infamously, Halo 3's Valhalla is often touted as a successor to Blood Gulch, with maps being very similar box canyons dictated by their base versus base gameplay. If you're an OG Ascend Hyperion viewer, you might remember I did a whole video covering this comparison as one of my first ever video essays. Another good example of successor is comparing Halo Reach's Zealot to the Midship map design. Anyway, now that we know how maps travel through multiple games, I'd like to pick out a few examples and discuss why it's so important that Halo games use maps from old games in new ones. The core idea that's the most important to me is how remakes and such allow for the evolution of gameplay on a single experience. All Halo titles feature a notable gameplay distinction from each other, and because of what these games change between each other is usually sandbox driven, one identical map can yield very different gameplay experiences between titles. It adds this interesting warped continuity to Halo's gameplay experience, where you can apply methods from a past title in a new one and actively see how the end result is different. A key and easy example of this can be found between Halo 3's Valhalla and Halo 4's Ragnarok, which are the same map through and through, but since the two games have notably different gameplay experiences, the map experience is modified too. In both versions, you end up with this wild center press in attempts to keep the enemy contained within their base, but in Halo 4, with the inclusion of custom classes and the very high effectiveness of scoped weapons at range, you see the fight distance really spread out, which made it so people could push your base without having to come as close as Halo 3. Halo 4 also mixes in the Mantis to the play, which I think creates this unique dynamic where players rally around the Mantis for major pushes, or use the Mantis as a heavy guard for the base and objectives. It's this transformation of experience all while being contained within the familiarity that is key to positive remakes. For your own consideration, the success of Halo 3's The Pit as Halo 4's Pitfall is another. We can't talk about the evolution of remakes in Halo without acknowledging Forge, which has taken a prominent place as the primary means maps even get a remake in the first place. This trend of using Forge to do remakes started in Halo Reach, as Bungie opted to demonstrate both the abilities of Reach's Forge and the variation in its own Forge world by recreating several Halo 2 classics for full multiplayer rotation using just Forge. Pinnacle was Ascension, Asylum was Sanctuary, and obviously Hemorrhage was Blood Gulch. Reach proved that given the right tools and geometry options, prior map designs could return to Halo once more, but one thing I think goes under-discussed is that part of why Reach Forge could achieve this is because maps being remade were not very complex in either layout or style. Conceptually, Ascension, for example, is just a collection of simple geometry and some nondescript floating space. Sanctuary is similar in that it was just simple geometry but now in a flat outdoor space. Where Forge begins to lag behind is its capability to produce true and quality remakes when artistic detail becomes the focal point. In Reach, all the Forge pieces share the same hard metal, Forerunner-oriented style, which is great for maps that fit that theme. It wouldn't be so great for a map like, let's say, Ivory Tower, which required more detailed distinction between surfaces. This is probably why Reach made Ivory Tower as Reflection, a full dev-committed map with new art. But when we talk about the limits of Forge, those limits stayed pretty much the same through Reach, Halo 4, and Halo 2 Anniversary. It wasn't until Halo 5 that the capabilities of the tool skyrocketed, such that more faithful, if not just more detailed map designs could be achieved. Deadlock from Halo 5 is a remake of Standoff from Halo 3, and was one of the early examples of remakes breaking away from being limited to simple geometry. Halo 5's Forge was so impressive, it stands to reason that pretty much every map from Halo's history has been remade by somebody at least once in Halo 5. You might recall that a community effort on Forge maps culminated in an entire multiplayer playlist made up of Halo 3 remake maps, which is impressive to say the least. But even Halo 5 reserved the developers to recreate some of the more detailed and artistically savvy maps, such as how Midship returns as Truth and Haven returns as Mercy. This brings us to today with Halo Infinite, which is the first mainline Halo to not include any developer-made remakes or successors, in a shocking choice by 343 to outwardly say they were not going to dedicate the resources to it. Now, I think it's easy to understand why from a cut and dry logistics perspective. It does not make it any less shocking though, and for a game that claimed to be a return to form for the franchise, it's even more odd to see it pay zero respect to the map designs that defined the last 20 years of Halo's gameplay. A simple cope onto this is that people say Forge will be used for remakes and that's good enough. From my perspective, that remains to be seen. There's no doubt to me that Forge will be able to produce high quality maps in Halo Infinite's Forge, unlike ever before, but it's unclear how 343 will utilize that work. The tone they've taken towards remakes thus far has been apathetic, as they seem more infatuated with the map designs of Infinite's freshman class. For me, what will be the defining moment is if they take advantage of Forge akin to how they did Halo 5, but this time we should not segregate remakes into their own playlist. The best and brightest forgers who produce the best and highest quality Forge remakes should see those maps rotated into complete matchmaking playlists. Infinite's freshman class of maps are, by my reckoning, uninspired and very artificially competitive. Seeing maps from Halo's past like Rat's Nest, Plaza, Adrift, or Waterworks return to the franchise will help dilute the stagnant state of Infinite's gameplay and will continue the continuity of gameplay that Infinite has currently broken. For today's viewer question, let's approach it like this. I want you to pick 2 maps from Halo's past that you think would play the best in Halo Infinite. And let me forewarn you, when we talk about remakes and remixes, people instantly just think of Halo's CE through 3. I think you need to make sure you're considering Reach, 4, and 5 when making this decision as well. Let me know in the comments below. That's going to do it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Join my Discord linked below, and until next time, I'll catch y'all later.